Alright, greetings everyone, and welcome to the kingdom. Today we have a special episode for you guys. I was planning on doing all the 5-star relics, but there are 6 of them and there's enough to cover in 2 episodes. So today I'm going to release one, and hopefully I'll have another one released by Monday. This was inspired by the current event releasing Divine Gems. So if any of you happen to be a lucky one enough to pull a 5-star relic, we're going to discuss uses as well as long-term implications of these individual relics. Today we will be covering the Divinetouch, Dragon Slayer, and Earthshaker. Alright, without further ado, let me bring up some saved up. Alright, so this is the DOT database online. And I'm sure we've all been here before, but I'm going to use this mainly to showcase these relics. We are going to start off today with the Divinetouch. Now this is the Paladin specific relic. Now as you guys can see, we are looking at 24% Titan and troop resist against ranged, 50% troop damage, and 40% troop health. Now, I really like this relic in combination with other relics that have been released in the past, because it has one of 3 of the strongest resist abilities in the game. And that is the, resist Titan troops against range. Now, with that said, the uses for this particular relic is, one, it is phenomenal when you're leveling a paladin or you're trying to speed raid with a paladin, because it gives a universal buff to your troops. Let me take a step back. There are a few categories that I place relics into that you guys should know as I'm going through this explanation. The first category are the core relics, and these are relics that you can build an entire Titan build around. Jim Kramer, it is happy to have you here. Drew, it's happy to have you here as well. I wanted to go live with this last night, but life got in the way. Alright, so you have your core ones that you can build entire builds around. And this is what I would consider one that bridges the gap between a core relic and the second type of relic, which is going to be my universal relic. And those are relics that will fit into any build, or paladin build in this case. Now I say fit into any build because those buffs at the bottom are not to be overlooked. 50% troop damage and 40% troop health. This is the equivalent of, let's say that you're running with Panthers, that 50% troop damage is exactly what the Bitter Dirks give at 4-star level. 40% troop health is exactly what the Mounted Armor gives. So it gives the highest buffs that several of the 4-star relics give, but what makes this different is this goes across all of your troops as opposed to that troop specific. And so that's why at least the 5-star relics are so powerful, because a lot of them have that universal buff and allow them to basically fit into any build that you're trying to do. So this relic fits into sort of both slots, because you can use this as a relic to do an entire build around for your Titan. And that first ability, resist against ranged, is strong enough ability to build around as well, because unlike the elemental resists, this thing doesn't cap at 90%. It caps at 100%. So you could technically, with all of the right relics released and yet to be released, make your guy immune to all rangers, as well as all archers and grenadiers, and any other ranged troop that they may release until a further time in which natural motion deems this worthy to nerf. Alright, so that is, it's great for great for that. Now, when you're using this relic defensively, it is important to understand, and I wanted to give you guys an example of a build that you could do. And so, if you happen to be lucky enough to have both Gungnir from the most recent event and the Forest Bow, Yoon, it's good to have you here. Let me show you guys what you can actually do. Actually, let me get back to that. Alright. So you see Divinetouch having 24% resist to all ranged for both Titan and Troop. Now if I go down to Gungnir and the Forest Bow, you're going to see that these abilities stack for one specific unit. Let's see. Here's the Forest Bow right here. Alright. Now, this Forest Bow is equipable on unit or Titans besides Rangers. I will show you guys that in a moment. But as I scroll down, you'll see 30% Imperials resist against ranged. That stacks with the Divinetouch, and you've got, what is that, 62% resist? So 62% resist against all ranged. And then you go down to Gungnir, and you have the 24% resist against all range as well. So you can get an 86% resist to range for your Imperials, basically almost making them immune to ranged damage while they charge up and impale everything with their spears. And that's with only the current relics released. Down the road, you get another resist against ranged, and now your Imperials are completely immune to all ranged damage. So take that into account when you get this. Yeah, it does make them immune. If they release one more relic, it'll make them immune to, all upper or high level players as well. At least the range portion of it. And so, if you don't have all of these relics, at the very least, you have. Let me get back to the 5-star relic, because this is a highlight on Divinetouch. At the very least, you've got a relic that is going to help power level paladins as you're grinding with them. And then defensive-wise, it's a relic for the paladin that, it'll give some resist against ranged, but also it'll buff all of the troops that you put with the paladin. So it's going to be effective in many, many ways. It's true, I don't have this Divinetouch, but it is a very, very powerful relic. Now let's go ahead and jump to relic number 2 today. And this is one that you guys have seen on my stream before, because this is one that I do have. And that's the Dragon Slayer. Now I have some thoughts on the Dragon Slayer right now. Number one, out of all of the relics in this game, this is the strongest single buff item in the game. Single buff meaning buffing only one unit, that being the Paladin itself. There is no other relic that buffs a unit to this level. And it has the strongest resistibility in the game. Currently the only relic that holds it. And that is 36% Titan resist to all damage. This stacks with every single other, elemental resist against range, resist against melee. This is the papa of all resists. Not only that, but you get a 60% Titan damage boost and nearly a 50% Titan health boost. Even the 4-star relics can only match 60%, and if they're unique, they can match 60% Titan damage. And then the 48% Titan health, I don't know if there's anything that matches that. So normally it's like 40% Titan health that you're going to see. So the strongest single unit buff in the game right here. But even with that, I'm going to go ahead and say, without further relic development in the game, this is probably the weakest of the 5-star relics. Because when you're buffing one unit, you're losing out on, all the troop buffs that you could possibly get. And that's sort of why they released this for the Guardians out there. Because the Guardians themselves will buff the troops. You're just looking at making a meat shield that can do something pretty impressive when you're equipping this on your Guardian right now. Now, all of that aside, this ability that here stacks with spells. For example, I'll go into the example here in a moment. Now, I say it's currently the weakest of the 5-star relics, but the way that I look at this relic, I think it has the greatest potential of all of the relics released, and it's simply because of that top ability. When more abilities start rolling out, whether it's resist against range, resist against melee, anyone who has this relic is going to have a advantage over everyone else. Just because all of a sudden you're 50 or 80 or 70% resist against let's say melee now becomes 100%. I mean, it's just a boost that is multiplicative depending on what other, how you want to build your Titan down the road. And so if you guys remember the days of the Freyas of old that were unkillable, if they release the right relics, those days will return except with a Fury. Because you have a skill now that resists all damage. And that all damage includes spell damage. And so, depending how Natural Motion approaches this in the future, you could have unkillable units easily if you have access to this relic and the other relics down the road. Now, I'm going to show you guys what this relic looks like and show you that stacking ability real quick. Alright. Here we go. Over to the Valkyrie that I have. And some of you have already seen this before, but it's good for everyone to see. That Guardian relic, as we all know, gives 36% resist to all damage. Combined with Valkyrie's first skill, and this is a level 1 Valkyrie, so 10% against all elemental resist. We're going to bring this up, and we're going to see that all damage stacks with the elemental resist, so now I have nearly 50% elemental resist to everything. When I have Valkyrie reach level 20, she'll have 56% resistance to everything. And so if I wanted to just have a elemental resist build, I just throw that relic on her and then just throw a bunch of the orbs that I have on her, so I can get 100% resist to every single element, although it does cap at 90 for elemental. And then, depending on which orbs I use, I can get nearly 72% resistance to everything for all my troops, or max out several of the elemental resist my troops, just leaving a few windows of opportunity for people that come in to attack me. And so, even without supporting relics, there is a ton of supporting relics, or even the relics that we have in the game now. It's easy to see how this relic here can assist in whatever build that you're looking at doing. Okay. So let's go ahead and switch back over to the DOT database, because now we are coming to our final relic that we're going to be covering today, and that's the Earthshaker. Now I happen to have this relic, and after having done an evaluation of all the skills for all of the 5-star relics, I'm going to say with what is currently released, both Titan and other relics, this relic is the strongest one that's out there at the moment. Now, that may cause some dissension among some of the people watching, but, for example, the Night Whisperer, which is the Infiltrator relic, that's the strongest single unit buffing, or not strongest attack buffing relic there is out there, and has a wide variety of uses right now. This one, though, in combination with Siegfried being just an OP Titan at the moment, allows archer damage to be shot through the roof. I'm the same way, Yoon. I'm looking for a reason to level up my Volcker as well. So, now, going through this particular relic, you see the resist melee here. Now, this actually has a same leveling or grinding purpose that the Divinetouch has, in the sense that it buffs all troops that are equipped as well. So this is great for power leveling a Titan or grinding through events, because not only can I equip the Earthshaker, but I could equip a 4-star Bitter Dirks and 4-star Mounted Armor, and now my Panthers have become incredibly strong and will just mow everything over. Okay, now, that aside, there is another specific build that you can do with the Earthshaker. And the reason why this is really strong on Siegfried is not only will it buff his archers, but it buffs his spearmen. So let's go down and find out the other relics that buff resist against melee. So if we go down, we're going to look for the Head of Mimir and Wild Arrows. So as I scroll down, we got the Head of Mimir here. So I can get my whole army, archers, spearmen, and everybody, up to 48% resist to all melee damage. Cut in half that damage that those Panthers do. And the Grenadiers and everybody, or not Grenadiers, but Imperials and those Infiltrator Titans. Alright, so if we scroll down, we will have the Wild Arrows down here. Where is that? Right here. As you can see, this is the companion to the Forest build that we saw earlier, except this one gives Spearmen resist against melee. Now, theory crafting with this, I can foresee people building Siegfried in a way where he's got 3 relics that support this resist against melee, making the Spearmen even better meat shields. While in the back, he'll have, or in the last 3 relic spots, he'll have archer boosting skills to make sure those archers will just be able to lay waste to anything that gets close to those spearmen. So while the spearmen absorb the damage, the archers come behind and just wreck all of the other units. Yeah, I mean, these are basically potential builds now, Yoon, but a lot of these relics, not everyone has. There's a very select few in the community that are rocking all the relics that I'm looking at. I'm just bringing this up so the next time a relic is released in an event that has one of these abilities, that you mark it in your mind. Because the resist against melee, resist against ranged, and resist against all damage are fundamentally exponentially more powerful than the elemental resists. But they don't work as well as the elemental resist until you crest that 90% resist mark. Every percentage you get above 90% for these abilities, it makes them exponentially better than the elemental resist. That's right. That's what I'm looking for pretty heavily now. Because, what shocks me, as I said before in episode 1 of this series, is that ability to give resist to ranged and melee was printed on 4-star relics. These 5-star relics, I know they're going to be incredibly hard for people to get a hold of, because not only is it a gamble, but you got to get enough divine gems to get there. If they continue to release 4-star relics that give buffs to, resist against Titan and troop resist, I mean, the sky's the limit. And I have faith that they're not going to release too many more of these, but those of us that have them will be able to make builds that no one else can touch. And so that's the real power of these 5-star relics. Not only do they have these amazing resist skills, but they give a universal buff to your troops. And so as you get these divine gems, know that a 5-star relic like this is going to be more valuable than any 4-star Titan that you can get, even a Siggy with perfect skills. These 5-star relics are basically the epitome of the game right now. And so if you can find ways to build around them, because a lot of them represent core and universal relics that I was talking about earlier. They'll just slide into the best, or a slot for any of your best Titans that you have that are within that class. Dawn of Relics, that's exactly right. And so, I mean, this goes back to my philosophy in this game. I am not a Titan hunter here. But if I see a relic that can be game-changing, I don't care if there's a 4-star Titan that someone picked up that has the most amazing skills known to man. I can build a Titan that's crappy and make him stronger with the right relics. That's how you compete as a free-to-play. You don't headhunt every Titan, but you headhunt guaranteed abilities that you're going to find in relics. Alright. Now, this is part 1 of episode 2. Actually, I think I'll just make an episode 3 that covers the other 3 5-star relics. And these relics doesn't take away any from the glory that the other 3 relics give. That's right. Relics are guaranteed. And, just keep that in mind. When that throne wars come, even if you're a free-to-play player, you're looking at spending a little money, that is the time to spend the money. That is the time to make sure you have the gems available. Because if you can get 2 5-star relics out of the next Throne Wars event, or even just 1, that has the potential to be game-changing. And a brief look at what I mean for that. I haven't seen it. How many 5-star relics did he get from it? Because I've been curious on all of those mass pulls, what it's like. And while you get ready to type that in, I'm going to go ahead and show everyone my Siegfried here. Actually, I think it'd be better if I did it on a single land. Yeah, if he only pulled 1 out of 20 pulls, just go through and get the guaranteed 5-star relic. 5,000 gems for that is absolutely worth it. Yeah, I mean, that's how I got my 2, is I pulled guaranteed pulls after the last Throne War event. Okay, I do have my Siegfried here. Alright, so this is my current Siegfried build, guys. This isn't my perfect Siegfried, because this is the one I've had for a while. I'm getting the guaranteed pulls as well, but you'll see that I'm basically buffing archers pretty heavy here. And I am abusing the Earthshaker here that I have at level 10 in combination with all of the archer relics known to man. And so, if I go to his troops, not only do they have Siegfried to tank some damage for him, but I've got archers with 200% armor pierce, almost 40% crit, that do 13,000 damage a shot with 15,000 health. There's no way that someone's going to drop a few fireball spells and kill these archers. And not only that, they get off 2 or 3 shots. I don't care if you got a or a guys with 90% resist. These archers are going to be doing a ton of damage. And if you don't have 90% resist to physical, you're going to get one shot. And that's why I feel that Earthshaker is currently the strongest in its iteration, just because of this Siegfried's that's out there. But that doesn't take away from the fact that there will be more relics and more titans that are released in the game that will max out the use of these 5-star relics. Siegfried just happens to be the one that's benefiting now. So if you get a 5-star relic you don't feel is the greatest, just give it time. The abilities are strong enough to stack in the long run. Alright. I always love seeing that defended, guys. Public enemy lost to me there. That's pretty big. Let me see what level this guy was. So he's same level as me. And I'll show you guys my who I have defending. Alright, so same level and lower level, lost to my Skolnar. So I'm happy about that. I did consider putting the 5-star relic on Skolnar, but I was like, there's no real need because he's just got a bunch of Goliaths that run around really slowly. Alright, anyway. Thank you so much for those of you that have stayed and watched this through this entire video. This series will continue because I've got 3 or 4 more relics sets that I want to go through that have the potential to be game-changing. So keep an eye out for these, but this series is probably one I'm not going to close, and I'll just continue reopening every time I see a relic that can change the face of this game moving forward. Thank you for visiting the kingdom, and I will probably be streaming tonight as I'm continually grinding through this event. You guys have a good afternoon, and I will talk to you all later.